Alright y'all, welcome back to the channel and to some more turkey patterning, and today we've got another old school kind of combination with some older shells, an older choke, and even a little bit older of a shotgun as well. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing how this late 90s, early 2000s type of combination can actually perform for us, because there's a chance that it could be pretty impressive. But as for the shells I've brought out here today, I got out some of the old Winchester Supreme shells. They are the high velocity Winchester Supremes, but they are the 12 gauge, 3-inch, 1 3/4 ounce payload of 4-shot. There's not a velocity claim on this box, but I believe the claim was 1,300 feet per second or somewhere about there. These are the direct predecessor to the Winchester XX shells, and I don't believe that the specs really changed at all between the two of them. So for what these were 25 to 30 years ago, there's some decent performers. And even today, from my testing with them, they're a solid performing shell generally speaking, but what can they do through today's choke combination, which I think could potentially be the deciding factor here. But as for today's setup, I brought out my Remington 1187. It has a 28-inch barrel on it, and this particular one is an early 90s. I think it's a 91 or 92 model, so it is kind of era correct with these. But for the choke, we've got a Remington Ventilator choke in here. It's a 655 constriction, and I believe these were around right in that late 90s, early 2000s type of range as well. So this entire combination could very well have been a pretty popular turkey hunting combo in like 2004 or something like that. But the thing is, this is a 655 choke, and those Supreme shells are a lead number 4. So is this going to be too much constriction for those 4s? There's the potential for that to happen, or lead 4s can be a little finicky sometimes to get the pattern right, and a tighter choke might just help them out and get the best we can out of them. I don't know what we're going to see, but it's definitely a pretty interesting combination. But as for today's test, everything is set up the same as usual. The turkey target's at 40 yards, and I've got the chronograph so we can get our velocity out of the shells. So let's get you guys a view of that target and see what the old Winchester Supreme 4-shot can do through this Remington 655 ventilator choke. Is it going to work out in our favor? Is it going to kind of blow our pattern all over the place? I don't know yet, but let's take our shot and see what we get. Alright, so that shell gave us 1395 through the chronograph. For a 25-year-old-ish lead number 4 shell, that is moving on out. And I believe the boss claim was originally 1,300 for these. So from our 28-inch barrel, we saw more than that 1,300 claim. So yeah, we're moving out pretty quick there. So are we pushing them too fast with them being a lead 4 through a 655 or not? I don't know, but let's go check out our target and see what kind of a pattern they gave us. Alright, so now we're down here at our 40-yard paper, and this is what we got. And we do absolutely have a dead bird here. There are 2 right up through the brain there, and several more down the spine that would have absolutely gotten you that turkey all day long. Now, our pattern might have favored just a touch to the right, but it does give you a decent amount of leeway left and right there, to where if you're off just a little bit, you would still absolutely get you that turkey. Now, moving in, looking at our core, I think it's just to the right of that bird's neck. There is a little hot pocket of pellets right there. I believe that is our core, and that's really not bad at all for a lead number 4. Now, outside of that, we definitely have quite a bit of splotchiness. There's a number of voids in here as soon as you get outside of that little hot zone in the middle there, and once you get out farther than that, we definitely open it up and have a few little strings and flyers and stuff around the edges here, which isn't too unheard of at all for a lead shell and a lead number 4 load like that, so it's not too surprising there. But looking at that pattern, I think that shows us a pretty decent picture that we were probably just starting to over constrict these a little bit. They are a lead 4 going through a 655 choke that I actually did measure out, and it is a true 655 constriction, but we can clearly see we have a nice little hot pocket right in the middle of our core, but the edges are definitely starting to blow their way open a little bit. They're starting to get splotchy and stringy, and that's kind of a telltale sign here. When you have a nice hot zone in your core, but the edges are scattered like that, you're probably starting to over constrict them a little bit. Now, is this still a very usable 40-yard turkey hunting pattern? Yeah, absolutely. And we have to remember that this is a 25 or 30-year-old combination. Back in the early 2000s, that would have been an absolutely deadly turkey pattern. And even still today, for a lead number 4, that's not bad. A lot of times, lead 4s can be rather picky. but that combination would absolutely do it. So for what this shell and choke combo actually is, it's not bad at all. I would turkey hunt with it. Now, is it modern day Winchester Longbeard XR number 4 performance? Definitely not. But these Supreme shells were the predecessor to the Double X, and I think that's probably very similar to what we would see from a modern Double X4 shot as well through that same combination. So definitely plenty good enough to do the job for you. And here is the wad out of that shell. As you can already tell, it is very much the standard Winchester equipment here. It looks and feels exactly the same as what they use in their Double X and Longbeard shells and stuff today. The same gray plastic and stuff as we would see in those shells. Nothing stuck down in there. The only damage we have is this one pedal that opened up a little farther than the rest, but that's not too unusual. And we don't have any pinholes or anything to worry about here, so we weren't over constricting them to the point of damaging anything or potentially being dangerous or anything like that. So the wad looks like I would expect it to look here. Nothing too fancy or special to see. Alright y'all, well, what did you think about that pattern right there? I'd say for what it is, it's a decent performance. Compared to a modern Longbeard shell, that's clearly not as good, but still, whether it was 25 years ago or today, that's a pattern that's still going to do the job just fine. And for a lead 4 going through a 655 choke, it definitely could have been a whole lot worse. I still think we started to over constrict them just a little bit based on the little bit of splotchiness we see in there, but they are a lead 4 and they can be a little picky sometimes. So all things considered, I don't think that's a terrible result, and if it's what I had or what I wanted to turkey hunt with, then it would clearly be good enough to 40 yards any day of the week. So leave all your thoughts down below. Is that about what you expected to see? Were you a little surprised one way or the other? Have you ever tested or used any of those old Supreme shells through a Remington Ventilator 655 choke? And if so, what kind of results have you seen? Would you hunt with that pattern the way it is? Or maybe it's a little bit too blotchy for you or something like that? And what other shells or choke combos do you want to see with either those Supreme 4s or that old Ventilator 655? Let me know all that down below. At the end of the day, it's a solid pattern and it's probably about what a lot of us expected to see. It's just a solid, usable enough turkey pattern. But with that being said, I've got some more testing to get done for you guys, so I'm going to get back to it. As always, we have the channel Instagram as well as the mailbox where you can send stuff if you'd like. All that information will be in the description if you're interested in it, but I'm going to get back to it, so I'll see y'all in the next one.